Zack Bia is not a rapper, and prior to one lucky night at the club, he was just some random college kid with zero music industry experience. But yet, somehow, today, Zack Bia stands at the center of hip-hop's most mysterious new record label, Field Trip Recordings. From breakout star Yeat and his producer BNYX, to now one of the hottest names on the internet, PlaqueBoyMax inking a deal, Zack Bia and Field Trip are quietly taking over. However, two big questions still remain. What does Zack Bia actually do? And if he really has no experience, then why are all these artists signing to him?
Yeah. So it's funny because like the people that I want the respect from, which is like artists in the creative community, those are the people who give me the most flowers and the most respect. And then it's the people that are kind of like removed from it, seeing it, are like, why this guy? Oh, it must be his dad. It must be this. It must be that. And they come out with excuses why.
Zack Bia's entire career is honestly insane, at least until you learn the full truth. But despite how crazy his come-up is, as he says, these actual artists in the scene, such as Yeat and Drake, give Zack their full respect. However, the internet still remains suspicious.
Yeah, there's no family connection, never been. Everyone thinks my dad is like this crazy rich guy or something. I haven't spoken to my dad truthfully in like 10, 15 years. I'm not even sure exactly where he is, to be honest.
Following a divorce between his parents, Zack would move out to Los Angeles as a kid and live with his mother. But prior to linking up with almost every A-list celebrity in Hollywood, Zack Bia's passion for sharing music originally started at a young age. When I was like 8 or 9 years old, my first hustle was filling people's iPods with music, and they paid me for it, he recalls. I've always been able to search and discover new stuff from all genres. As a part-time DJ himself, who has also released his own dance project that we're about to see, it's no secret Zack Bia loves music. However, this doesn't answer the question what Zack Bia does, or how he got in this position either. Born on June 9th, 1996, this date would actually prove crucial to Zack's rise to fame, which truly happened by accident. Following his graduation from Beverly Hills High School in 2014, Zack was set to attend USC for college. However, one night right before his freshman year kicked off, Zack's life changed forever.
By the way, to this day,
we credit Fetty.
I credit Fetty Wap with my
with
my success, whatever success I have. So the 19th birthday at Hooray Henry's, this is at the peak Fetty Wap. So Trap Queen is the biggest it's ever been. He just dropped the My Way remix with Drake.
Great song.
So this is like peak Fetty, and he's performing at Hooray Henry's the night of my birthday. We're like, yo, Fetty, and he's like being pretty nice actually. He's like, what's going on? How are you guys? My friend's like, it's his birthday. I'm like, yeah, it's my birthday, whatever. He's like, oh, word, it was my birthday last night.
After their first brief interaction at this LA nightclub, Fetty Wap would not only go on to shout Zack out for his birthday during his performance on stage, but right before the venue closed, then this happened.
Club's about to close, there's like 5 minutes left, and his security waves me over to his table. So I'm like, is it talking to me? Whatever. I go over to his table, puts some Remy Martin in my hand, puts his arm around me. He's like, so what's good? How was your birthday? And he starts making conversation with me. And all my friends are in like, you know, nowhere near the table, like looking at me like, you're going crazy. Like,
this lucky break, though, was about to get even better for Zack. After getting approached by people in the club thinking he was now part of Fetty Wap's entourage, this led to Zack connecting with a promoter who then offered him a job at the club. And thanks to his college buddies who always helped pack it out, Zack's parties and promotional nights were a massive hit. Continuing on to then meet this guy, John Terrazin, owner of these clubs he was attending, and after seeing his impressive work, John would then promote Zack Bia into working more private events at his clubs, including exclusive parties hosted by Drake at Delilah. And again, utilizing his networking ability, plus, as he puts it, being very careful not to lean on these talented stars and ask them for favors, and rather just be a normal dude, Drake and Zack Bia would quickly form a very close friendship. And from there, the rest was history.
Back in Delilah, word of Zack, I need action, that's a fact.
But besides this bar, though, in Drake's No Stylist verse with French Montana, name-dropping Zack specifically, back in 2019, Drake would also give Zack Bia a cameo in his Money in the Grave music video with Rick Ross.
They're not making the right food, are they? It doesn't smell right. Is that the fish?
No, grease trap.
1 second. That's the fish?
Google searches spiked for who is Zack Bia, Hollywood's most mysterious face. However, as word began to spread of his one-of-a-kind come-up in the party scene, at this point, Zack Bia was simply seen as some rich LA kid who got super lucky, and this perception stuck. Well, that was until 2020 rolled around, and ushered in his biggest move to date. So, what happened? If you're wondering why easily the hottest new rapper of the past 5 years would choose to sign to a club promoter like Zack Bia, as we're about to see, it's actually quite simple. Having literally outstreamed every Best New Artist nominee at the Grammys combined, despite never being nominated, today there's no denying Yeat is a star. But if you look closely, every release that Yeat has put out since Up To Me has included this little label down here in the credits, Field Trip Recordings. with the help of Zack Bia's right-hand man and private music executive James Canton. Although first registering the company in 2017, in 2020 James, Zack, and their small team would officially launch a new record label named Field Trip Records, as it just felt like the next logical step for Zack's career, with a name inspired by their friend's teardown house, which they called Field Trip Estates, and their tagline, fueled by passion and the desire to reimagine what it means to be a music company. As for their first artist though, a young singer named Mallory Merck, and teenage rapper SSG Kobe, who Zack was able to sign thanks to a budget put up by his close friend.
And kind of like one of my OGs sat me and some friends down and was like, you should start your own label. You're always in the studio. I was always like introducing artists to other artists and kind of like being that bridge person behind the scenes. And he was like, yo, you gotta start your own label. I'll give you the money for it. And he bankrolled me the initial money. And I signed Mallory and Kobe. I just thought he was like a really good rapper.
At the time, SSG Kobe was a really good rapper. Unfortunately, some SA allegations around him would surface 2 years later, basically putting an end to his rap career. But after inking a deal in 2020 to become the first rapper to ever sign to Field Trip, Zack Bia could not stop thinking about, quote, an emerging new rap scene which he called SoundCloud 2.0. Yet, besides Kobe though, who is one of the most popular upcoming names in that new wave, Field Trip didn't stop there, going on to then sign Heaven, Slump Success, and Only Bino to similar partnership deals. However, just 1 year later in 2021, arrived Field Trip's breakout signee.
I was one of the earliest believers in it. The reason I was a believer was like, I thought the music was so amazing and like so different. And I called him into the office and he pulled up and he had the Montclair puffer on, Louis side bag, Louis Vuitton, like kind of like scarf around his head.
Wearing the turbies.
He told me like he had 5,000 followers on Instagram. You don't have to tell him anything. He's a complete genius. Like we don't have to touch any of that stuff. I'm more like I help organize everything on the back end, musically, creatively, like.
Although we'll learn in a sec that some fans have started turning on him for his recent management decisions. After discovering Yeat's music prior to blowing up, Zack Bia instantly wanted to sign him. But there was just one problem. Yeat had already been offered a one-album distribution deal with Interscope for his debut album. Yeat decided to go with Interscope for the release of Up To Me. However, while accepting this deal, he made a promise to Zack Bia that he would sign with his label Field Trip as soon as it was over. But did he stick to it? Well, in the meantime, Zack got right to work. From playing Yeat's music during his DJ sets for everyone he knew, including Lil Yachty, Cole Bennett, and even The Weeknd, as Zack hosted The Weeknd's Dawn FM release party. But yet, besides these very influential introductions, what stirred up the most mainstream hype for Yeat was this famous photo with Drake, which, as we now know, it was actually Zack Bia who connected and introduced the two at this party in Houston. However, despite admitting that all this legwork, quote, ran up Yeat's price by the time his Interscope deal expired, with new offers flying in from other labels, Yeat stuck to his promise, officially signing his new contract with Field Trip Records and Zack Bia in 2021, as well as in partnership with Geffen Records, which, by the way, is something interesting I noticed about Field Trip that you will too. At the time though, signing to Field Trip caught a lot of fans off guard, and was viewed by many as a big risk. But while yes, it is true that Zack Bia's reputation online was again just some lucky LA kid who probably came from a rich family.
He's also pictured a lot with Drake. He's really, honestly, you could name just about anyone in Hollywood and Zack Bia pops up in the background. Like, he is just friends with all of these celebrities. He's dating all of these beautiful women, and it's gotten to a point where everybody is going, who the hell is this kid? What does he do? Why is he there? And how does he get with all of these women?
While Zack left all of these internet rumors alone, which have only intensified a million times more due to all these past girls he's been seen with, like Olivia Rodrigo, who many theorize her hit song Vampire is written about. But regardless, aside from his impressive list of ex-girlfriends, instead, the true reason why all of these buzzing artists such as Yeat and now PlaqueBoyMax are choosing to sign with Field Trip is simple. What Zack Bia brings to the table is arguably even more valuable.
Here's our secret sauce. Like I always tell people, I'm like, if we do like a Field Trip deal, you're gonna get privileges and looks and access to things that other people don't have. And that's kind of like our whole thing, is like we can create those moments.
Despite his lack of music industry knowledge and experience, as we just learned, Zack Bia is a staple in the LA party scene. And what does this mean? Access to the aux cord at A-list parties with the world's most influential celebrities. And just ask yourself, what new artist wouldn't want their music played at these exclusive events?
You know how people talk about seeding lists for clothes? It's like we're also seeding out the music.
Yeah.
So like we'd be like the first people to play a song or play an artist before they blew up, and it's like we're in this room with 100 people, and 95 of them are some of the 95 most influential people in the world.
We have literally seen on countless occasions how just one cosign or repost from a massive celebrity like Kylie Jenner, for example, can instantly ignite a new artist's career.
I read something the other day that on myself, because I saw it got up to 10 million pretty quick, that Kylie Jenner did like a video of her singing the lyrics.
Yeah.
And the plays went up by 300% after that.
I couldn't believe it. It was crazy being in the mall and being like, damn, like I'm about to blow up. None of these people even know who I am.
But it starts with getting them to hear your music in the first place. People don't realize that going to a good party where someone is DJing, you can break songs, Zack points out. A businessman, a skater, an actor, an up-and-coming musician, and a big musician are all in the same room connected through music. As I mentioned earlier, Zack Bia himself is a part-time DJ. With his old virtual sets during the pandemic growing an audience, thanks to guest stars like Kendall Jenner, Virgil Abloh, and his good friend Drake making appearances, along with even letting Zack premiere his new song 2C Slide one night on stream.
It's about to be the hottest song in the world. Song of the summer.
No sequence.
But aside from those Instagram streams, and aside from helping host release parties for his other artist friends, such as Jack Harlow, Brent Faiyaz, and Baby Keem, little did he know that 8 years after this picture here was taken, showing the night when Zack says he snuck into a nightclub at 18 years old as a Post Malone fan, 8 years later in 2022, we then saw Zack Bia officially get announced as an opener for 31 dates on Post Malone's tour. Forever indebted to Post and his team for taking me on my first tour, Zack writes. A life-changing experience. This was a huge step for Zack, but only less than a year later, another insane invite came his way as a DJ.
So much of the last 5 years has been about us going to experience these things out in the world in these parties. He's like, we gotta bring that to tour. He's like, so if you can come, like, you gotta come open up on tour. People gotta come experience how we are in real life. Like, that's what the show is, and that's just how Drake is. And so I just going in there and play whatever music I think is fresh and have a fun time with the crowd. But really, like, my job is so easy. It's the best crowd. They're waiting for the best show. They're already amped up. I just gotta play the hits and have fun with them.
Can everyone take their lights out and look around what it's like to be in the room during a Drake concert with 20,000 of your best friends?
All of this was a dream come true for Zack Bia, who, remember, basically got his start due to Fetty Wap being nice, then going on to actually release his own dance project in 2023, of course under Field Trip Records, titled Learn to Fly. Although he said these 8 tracks were fun to make, and I'm sure he got a nice bag from Drake's sold-out shows, Zack's main focus remained on his label. I'm just trying to build the coolest record company I can. It's all I care about right now. And what better way to start than by signing one of the coolest new rappers of the past decade? Now, depending on who you ask though, some fans will try to argue that Zack Bia has ruined Yeat's career as of recent. However, one thing is for sure. Yeat would have never been this big without Zack Bia. Introducing Yeat to Drake, soon leading to his highest charting song ever, was just the beginning of Field Trip's assistance. Because immediately after signing in 2021, Yeat was spotted joining Zack at multiple mainstream events such as Paris Fashion Week, or here pictured next to Lyrical Lemonade founder Cole Bennett, who, as one of Zack Bia's best friends, would not only get put onto Yeat calling him the breakout artist of the year, but then Cole and Yeat have since formed their own close relationship, shooting multiple music videos together, including Yeat's first ever single under Field Trip, Still Counting.
What's up, man? I'm doing good. Cole and Yeat Creatives doing some new shit. Double video, 2-in-1. Cole never did that before, so I think it's just cool that, you know, with Yeat and Cole coming together, they're coming with a whole new energy.
Zach's over there talking. He looks nice. Look at this guy. Nice ass.
Zack Bia has been instrumental in building Yeat as an artist, but if you still need more proof of his influence, look no further than one of the most viral internet trends of 2022. Everything started when again Zack's good friend Cole Bennett was approached by the animation company behind the Minions franchise with the opportunity to make a trailer for their new movie Rise of Gru. But at first though, Cole says they were planning to use a safe, brand-friendly artist that would align with the PG-rated film, but apparently had a change of heart at the last minute. Cole called me and was like, I'm doing this Minions trailer, what do you think about Yeat doing it? And I told him I thought it was genius, says Field Trip Records co-founder Zack Bia, who signed Yeat and helps oversee his career. The idea of Yeat and the Minions movie collaborating is just so left field, but at the same time, it inexplicably makes sense. Yeat would record his Rich Minion song that next morning in his hotel room. However, after Zack signed off on it, I don't think anybody could have predicted what happened next.
These suited up young men call themselves the the Gentle Minions, and they're part of a TikTok trend. Watch the 6th installment of the movie franchise after their school formal. So they just kept the suits on and started a viral trend in the process. This video has been viewed more than 37 million times, and there have been lots of other videos like it with fans around the world suiting up to go watch the movie ever since.
Having helped orchestrate this insanely viral Gentle Minions trend in 2022, which of course all used Yeat's new Minions song, as a result of all this attention, Zack Bia and his team was then flooded with opportunities left and right. However, although I'm sure it was probably tempting for them to just take all these easy bags, instead, Zack and Yeat did the exact opposite. We've turned down a lot of things. Basically everything, actually. Bia told Complex, "We've always opted to do things our own way, passing on interview opportunities and producing our own magazine, or passing on festivals and opting for our own smaller tour run, to create the experience that we wanted. Besides rarely doing interviews and turning down platforms like No Jumper, when Yeat first started blowing up, as you could guess, every big hip-hop festival was also wanting to book him. But despite offers to play for sold-out crowds such as Rolling Loud, Zack Bia and Yeat declined, which was actually extremely smart. If you've been following Yeat's career for a while, you probably remember that, like every brand new artist on stage for the first time, Yeat was not a good performer at all. With multiple viral clips pointing this out, you could obviously tell that Yeat was nervous and shy in front of an audience. Thus, rather than accepting these huge festivals, Yeat announced his first ever tour. Opting for instead much smaller venues, this provided the perfect chance for Yeat to improve and work on his stage presence with less pressure in front of smaller crowds. And this risky decision paid off, as not only is Yeat now rocking out major festivals across the world like Rolling Loud and Coachella, but he is clearly way more confident on stage. Yeat's career has only continued to climb under the management of Zack Bia and Field Trip. Like, this crowd is insane. However, after seeing their major success together, next came the signing of Field Trip's first ever producer. Following in the footsteps of Yeat, in April of 2024, it was announced that his go-to producer, BNYX, had also penned a new deal with Field Trip Recordings, in partnership with Capitol. As one of the hottest names out on the producer side of things, BNYX is an exceptional musician and a true artist with a specific vision, but above all else, an incredible human, said Zack Bia. Yeat brought him into our lives and he turned into family. But yet, they still weren't finished. Last month in May brought Zack Bia and Field Trip's latest edition. When news broke that Field Trip had inked a new deal with Twitch streaming star PlaqueBoyMax, once again fans were confused. But Zack's plan is simple. Max is a true pioneer and is changing the current landscape of entertainment, he says. We are here to help scale and operate his vision as he continues to merge all of these creative fields. The goal is to build directly out of his core 5-star community, first and foremost, always leading with Max's taste and collaborations that are true to him. After exploding into streaming fame thanks to series such as his In the Booth and Song Wars episodes, in May of 2025 arrived PlaqueBoyMax's debut mixtape featuring him rapping, which, as we can see right here, was indeed released in partnership with Field Trip Recordings, and his new friend Zack Bia.
Only the finest.
Bro, what the f***? Let that shit dance one time.
Bro, I appreciate y'all so much, bro. That shit is
You deserve it.
As it stands, only time will tell exactly what Zack has in store for Max's career. However, the truth of the matter is, he will not be working alone. In addition to Field Trip Recordings, as we can see, PlaqueBoyMax's new deal is also in partnership with Capitol. And as it turns out, every single artist that has ever signed to Field Trip from the very start has been in joint ventures with other major labels.
How it works is Field Trip is more like the promotion and planning side, and then Republic Records is what deals with like the money or whatever.
Right.
In my opinion, this is honestly very smart, and it appears Zack Bia agrees too. This way, artists get the best of both worlds, he says. They get the advantage of the machine and their industry knowledge, but they don't get lost in it. They're not dealing with people who only work for a label and don't know them personally. We can do stuff on the ground that they can't do, and they can do things on a massive corporate level that we can't do either.
It's more just like like you and me, we're living and breathing it, right? We're not some like, no offense to anyone, we're not some like exec in an office that's like, what are kids doing? Like, we're living and breathing it, so I'm more just like, we can help do the things that an artist needs to do in real time.